The following is a Big Sioux Media production.
Good evening and welcome to the first edition of Voices of Big Sioux Media. I'm Lee Palmer of Big Sioux Media, and what we wanted to do here at Big Sioux Media with this is to find interesting, intriguing people in the Del Rapids and the surrounding communities that we might find some interest for you. You might find interest in them. We know that we do, so that we have decided to start this podcast here on Big Sioux Media. So for our first guest, we want to welcome Allan Bertram of Sacred Hoops Basketball. And thank you for joining us here on our inaugural program to begin with.
My pleasure. I love the opportunity to come out and speak and just help spread the message of what we're trying to do and just talk basketball and life a little bit tonight. So
I'll give you a little background. Coach Bertram here, Cologne graduate. Graduated from Cologne, decided to go to Huron College, 3 years at Huron College, played basketball and baseball. We talked a little bit about that before we went on the air. From there, you went to Sante to go finish up your education, degree in education, as a matter of fact. Played 1 year of basketball there, kind of closer to home. Easier a little bit for you to be back closer to home to do that. Finished up that degree, and then went into your teaching field and really started coaching right away when you graduated.
Yeah, you know, I was kind of thrown into the fire as a basketball coach. You know, I think you get done playing college basketball and you get done with your experience and you think you walk out knowing everything. And a lot of times being a player doesn't necessarily correlate as being a coach. So yeah, I started my coaching career at Todd County High School. Had some very successful teams with some great players. I was very fortunate and was able to coach with a great mentor coach in Roger Kroegel, who'd been out there forever and has done a great job, and was lucky enough to have his son, Rich Kroegel, which is one of the best players I've ever coached or seen at the high school level, play right away as a young coach. So I was blessed to be able to work with some really good players early. And then from there, you know, I went and I was a head basketball coach at Andy Central High School for a couple years, and again had some very nice players and was in a great situation, and then was able to go and coach for 12 years at Chamberlain High School. And that was just a great opportunity for me in a wonderful community. With just some extremely unbelievable young men that I was able to work with there. And, you know, a lot of times we were able to have a lot of success at Chamberlain. And a lot of times I think coaches can take too much criticism and they can be given too much credit. And I was blessed with kids who really wanted to spend a lot of time in the gym and were great kids on and off the court. And it correlated to the amount of success that we had over those years.
You talk about that success, 6 conference titles in Chamberlain, 5 district titles, 4 region championships, which got you 4 appearances at the state championship, kind of really where you had built a program there in Chamberlain for 12 years, 225 wins, and then you made a career change. It wasn't that you weren't doing clinics and you weren't doing individual workouts before that, but you decided to step away from the high school and really put your efforts into working with kids all across the state. First coach to have a college prep camp, placed 6th in an AAU Nationals in Omaha last year, placed 1st in the Nike tournament in Indianapolis, and then your Final Four appearance in Vegas last year really shows what you have created basketball-wise here in this state.
You know, when I left coaching in Chamberlain, it was a very difficult decision because you have a lot of great relationships that you build with just not only your athletes, but the people in the community and all that. And so when we left, it wasn't something we took lightly. But I try to tell a lot of people, I miss coaching tremendously in the winter. I mean, I really do. I love the feeling of having that group of kids that you really want to mold and build into not just basketball players, but better people. But from the retrospect, when we were looking at the career change, it was an opportunity to work with a lot of kids. And, you know, when you have a high school program, you have a very small number of people you're working with where now your opportunities are boundless. And so it's exciting for me to be able to work with thousands of kids every year and then to be able to help them become better players, maybe mold them into different life situations that they're struggling on and off the court and helping them become better people. And then watching them go and become better and knowing that you had a small part of that. I mean, obviously, the high school coaches have a major impact on them, and I don't want to take anything away from them because we got great coaches at the high school level, but just knowing that you have a small part of their success and their growth as players and as people, it's extremely rewarding. And so for me to be able to work with the amount of kids that we get to work with, and it's a lot. It's a huge responsibility, something that I most definitely don't take lightly, because I know that every kid you work with individually, you have an opportunity to make an impact. And what you do with that opportunity can either do something very positive for them, or they can walk away with nothing from that experience. And so for me, I take every moment I have with every single kid extremely important to me. And so I'm blessed. I'm a very blessed person.
So now it's Sacred Hoops basketball. We're going to talk about that. That's going to be a lot of our focus here tonight. 3 weeks into it, I want to read this. I took this off the website. To teach the game of basketball, the game of life, and provide multiple opportunities for the youth and those who work with youth in South Dakota and surrounding areas. That mission statement, I want to backtrack from there a little bit and work in reverse order. And the first thing in there, it says to work with those who work with youth. One of the things Sacred Hoops wants to do, and we've talked about this before, is to go out and do outreach camps for coaches, especially young coaches. The coaches in your program, you've brought in some young coaches. What is the importance of that? You know, thinking back, we said earlier, you were a young coach thrown into the fire. What is the purpose of going and doing that part of the aspect for this program?
I've been coaching for 20 years, and for me, when I first started, I had some great mentor coaches that were veteran coaches that helped me get through the difficult part of coaching. A lot of people, coaching the X and O part is a very small percentage. The vast majority of coaching is all the things that people don't think about. If you really want to be successful, building a proper culture within your program, how you deal with situations on and off the court with kids that really don't even have basketball relation, but yet have a huge impact on your program. How to deal with parents, how to deal with the political aspects of your community. There's all these things that come into making a team either good or not good or getting the most out of it. So for me, we lose a lot of really good coaches every year because they don't have a support system, or they don't know where to turn to, or they're not quite able to deal with some of those issues. And our kids lose out every single time that happens. So one of the things we really, and we've obviously done it a lot over the years, but we really want to expand it, is into having coaching mentoring programs for coaches. So they know that there's a place they can go to if they need help, need advice, need guidance. Going out and having coaching clinics throughout the state where people don't have to get in cars and drive 4 to 5 hours to go to a clinic, but yet we can have them regional based, where we can have a variety of topics where coaches can learn. I mean, we're all, as adults and as kids, we're learners. And the second we quit learning, we quit growing as people. And so for a lot of times with coaching, if you don't have those opportunities, you're stagnant. You become in a rut and you only do what you know. And so to provide opportunities for those who can actually deal with our youth on an everyday basis, it helps grow the game. So, you know, we're a small group, so for us to say we're going to help all the kids, we want to, but yet there's so many soldiers on the ground. There are these coaches out there that if we can help provide tools for them to become better, just helpful ways for them to stay in the game, then every single kid out there benefits from that. So that's kind of the big premise behind it.
So not only that, but you've got Jordan Long, your partner, who's helped you start this, but you've also brought in two, especially in the west side of the state, and people here on the east side that follow basketball, two really good influences in coaching with Matthew Rama and then with Eldon Marshall. How did you get two guys that have got so much success, and you know, they spend a lot of time in the winter, Matthew when he was coaching and now Eldon with White River. How did you get those guys on board to help for the summer?
Well, it's just a relationship thing. You know, Matt and I and Eldon and I have coached against each other for 20 years. And it started back when I was at Todd County, and we've become best friends. Those two are my best friends. And we talk a lot about how the game of basketball, I don't care if it's basketball or whatever it is, but when you do something, it gives you opportunities to build relationships with people. The game of basketball has given me opportunities to meet all kinds of great people, and some of my closest friends are because of the game. And so we've become a very tight group, and constantly when we're behind closed doors, we're talking about how can we make things better for people, how can we make things better for our kids, for the state, for basketball, whatever. And so we've been talking about this for a long time. And so it wasn't a matter of asking them, it was just a matter of them saying, hey, when are we going to do this? And so, you know, Eldon's been to 13 straight state tournaments. There's no other coach coaching today that can say that. Matt was a perennial state power coach going to the state tournament all the time at Red Cloud. Now he's got the girls program there, and in 2 years he's built that up to a 16-win program. And they're going to keep doing that because he's a great coach, because he's a great relationship builder. Those two get it. So for them to be on board and to be fully invested in what we're doing, it explains the importance of why. People like that who have a million other things to do with their own families, their own kids, their own programs, don't dive in wholeheartedly if it's not the right thing. And so we're not a group that's out there just trying to collect checks and come in and do stuff. It's really truly about making a difference for all the kids and all the teams and all the coaches that we work with, because we've been here for a long time as high school coaches. We understand the difficulties that it is of being a head high school basketball coach or being a kid playing today and having to deal with all the social issues that are out there. It's just about trying to provide a better opportunity for everybody.
So then, as we backtrack through there, it is working through life lessons. And I have talked to a couple of the kids in the program already. I've been to a couple practices. And, you know, the first thing those kids will say when you talk to them is, the hard work that we're putting in here is hard work that's going to put us through life. Your opening statements in almost every practice, and now I've been able to watch multiple practices, is the first thing is, here's expectations, here's where we're going to go, and know if you don't meet them that there's consequences for it. Things that they're going to be able to take on in life. Where did you learn that? Because it's not just something that comes naturally.
Yeah, no, I think, you know, I mean, that's how I was raised. I mean, I was raised in a home in which my father always said, if you're going to do something, you do it right or don't do it at all. And the expectation was there that, you know, you are who you are, and what you do is what you represent. And so my aspect of when I was teaching in the classroom, or when I was a school principal or a basketball coach, to me, these ideals, it doesn't matter what walk of life you're in, it's going to make you better. And so for me, it's like this. No matter what you do, you set an expectation. That could be for yourself, it could be for your family, it could be, in this case, it's for our athletes. And you let them know in a clear, precise way that this is what your expectations are. And then you hold them accountable to that. It's all about accountability. So if you're not going to raise yourself to those level of expectations, you're going to be held accountable for that. And eventually what happens is everybody involved will rise to those expectations. It's so simple. And you talk to people who struggle with that, and a lot of times, if it's a kid that's struggling with behaviorally in school, or if it's a family that's struggling with their kid not doing what they're supposed to be doing, or whether it's a team that can't get their kids to work hard or whatever, it's because there's not consistent accountability and there's not clear expectations. And so for us, we've just learned over time, and it doesn't matter if we have a group of kids. You've been to our practices, you know what it's like. The kids work extremely hard, and it's a big eye-opener for a lot of the kids when they first come to the first couple practices for us, because they're not used to 2 hours of that much intensity, that much hard work. And it's crazy, because you have coaches that come in and watch, and they're like, you know, your level of intensity is, are you like this way every day? And I'd say, you know, if you came to our high school, if you talked to my high school players that played for me, it was that way every day, 5 days a week, because that's what the expectation was. And our kids rose to it every year, every day, every game. And I think, you know, obviously it rubbed off on them, hopefully, in the classroom. And now, as many of them are the age of myself, but many of them are fathers and all that on their own, I hope that they took a little bit and piece of that to their own children and their own walk of life.
So when you come about that and all these expectations and the intensity of your practices, my question is, you've got a program here in Southeast South Dakota, and we'll talk about Aberdeen and West River as well, out in Rapid, and you're starting a new program, plus you're running coaching practices, you're working with your coaches. Where does your energy come from? Because I've seen the gyms, and I know how loud they get, and if you're louder than the kids, then you get louder and you're making the kids get louder. Where's that come from?
Yeah, you know, I think I always say this, I think you might have heard it the other day at practice, but I'm a big acronym guy, but I believe in the 3 Ps. You know, and the first one is, you got to have passion. And I don't care if you're in life or in basketball, it doesn't matter, but if you're not passionate about what you do, as a father, if I'm not passionate about my family and my kids, I'm not going to be the best father or a husband I can be. So every day that I have a chance to coach basketball, I'm lucky. And so I'm passionate about it. I love it. Now, I'm 44 years old, and I feel like I'm a 12-year-old kid sometimes when I'm in the gym. I'm passionate about it. And we talk about kids all the time, but you have to have pride. I mean, that's the second P and the 3 Ps that are important. You got to have passion, you got to have pride. And to me, if you do something to the best of your ability, you can be proud of it. if you go into something and you don't give your best effort, you can't walk out of that having any pride in what you've done. Whether you're successful or not, you got to go as hard as you can. So for me, it's about having passion, having pride, and the last thing is about just having a purpose. And I think my purpose in life was to just try to make things better for people in some way, shape, or form, and I'm lucky enough to do it around the game of basketball. So when I walk into practice, whether it was 17, 18 years ago as a high school basketball coach, or this Sunday at Dakota Wesleyan when we have our team practices, it's about doing it with passion and having pride in what we do, and then knowing that I have a greater purpose that I have to serve when I do it. And so I have a responsibility to those kids to give them everything that I've got when I have them.
You talk about purpose, you talk about responsibility, and it goes back into that next point when, as we're backtracking through that mission statement, we're talking about opportunities. When we started talking 3 weeks ago about the program and what it was going to look like, and I'll be the first one to admit, yeah, my son's in your program, and he will always be in your program, and I appreciate my son being part of this program. But the thing that stunned me the most is you took a program and you walked out, here you are 3 weeks later, and in this program, there is an element of this program where 40 young Native American, I want to say young women, the ages of 17U, 16U, 15U, and 14U teams, a team at each level, 10 girls at each level, are going to get an opportunity that they normally wouldn't get playing basketball in the summer in front of large crowds, in front of college coaches, and an opportunity to play somebody in places like Minneapolis and Omaha. Talk about that part of the program.
I think that when we did this, once again, it's about something much bigger than me or the coaches involved or anything else. We got a big responsibility to give kids opportunities that they don't normally have. And we looked at what are some of the biggest areas or groups of people who just don't have the same opportunities. And the first thing that we talked about was our females, our girls basketball players and programs in South Dakota. We got some of the greatest women basketball teams in the country in our college level. I mean, you look at what Dakota Wesleyan did this year, won a national title. SDSU and USD are constantly. Augie was unbelievable. USF was. Our women basketball is unbelievable. But yet at the high school level, there's so much forefront put on the guys' game, and the girls are just kind of there. And so that was a no-brainer. We said we got to do something for girls basketball in South Dakota. And then the second part was for our Native American athletes. I mean, I started my career on the coaching career on the Rosebud Reservation at Todd County High School. I know that there's not college coaches walking into those gyms to see kids play. I know that. And I also know that there's a ton of talent. Some of the best players that I've ever seen at the high school level or coached was Jess Hart and Rich Kroigel. Those guys were unbelievable players that really didn't get the same opportunities. And so part of what we want to do is say we want these kids. We're going to start with our girls basketball players, and then we selected the 40 best Native American high school girls in South Dakota. We said we want to take them to places that they normally would not be able to go, and we don't want them to have to worry about the economic end of things. So we're working really hard to raise the funds so that these girls can go to these tournaments, have all the same things that many of our other kids have in South Dakota, and not have to worry about paying for it, because they're coming from, a lot of these kids are coming from situations where they can't afford it. They can't pay for it. If it comes to money, it eliminates their opportunity to be successful. And so for us, we want to give them opportunities to get in front of college coaches, to be able to expand their game through intense teaching, intense coaching, to help their coaches and help them become better, and then get them in front of those college coaches to have that extra opportunity that they normally aren't going to have. So that's and next year we want to expand it to the Native American boys. By next year we want 4 Native American girls teams, 4 Native American boys teams, that they have this opportunity just like all the other kids in South Dakota do. And then our goal is to have 10 to 15 free major camps throughout South Dakota every year, annually, where we can go to places that normally don't have it or can't afford it, and we can give kids opportunities to have this. We're blessed over here. We take things for granted so tremendously over, and especially in the Sioux Falls metro area, because athletically, I don't care if it's basketball, football, baseball, it doesn't matter. There's 8 million opportunities over here, to the point where people, it's almost just a part of what they do every day. When you get in a car and drive even a couple hours from here, it's not that way. And when you get 3 to 4 hours from here, it's not even, you're in a completely different world when it comes to this. So for us, this is the reason why we're doing it. Someone said the other day, are you trying to even the playing field? I said, that's not what we're trying to do. We just want to give kids that opportunity if they want it. And if we don't go to them, they're not going to get it. And so someone's got to do it, and we know we really feel we're going to do it the right way because of the things we talked about. So that these kids can have something that's worthwhile, meaningful, can help them improve themselves as people and as basketball players, but just knowing that they got a chance.
So there's so many ways I want to go off of this, but we'll start with the first one. You talk about 2 hours, 3 hours away. So you've put a campus here in southeast South Dakota. Kids are practicing at West Central, Lennox, wherever you can get gym time around here. A lot of group of kids here, but there's still kids traveling. There's, you know, I was at practice the other day and there were kids from Elk Point and kids from Elkton. I mean, it's just not Sioux Falls, Del Rapid. I mean, they're coming from all over. You've got a campus starting in Rapid City where, and we'll talk about how many teams you've got coming out there. And then you're also up in Aberdeen, you know, Burning Barn, yeah.
The Barn Burners. Yeah.
Barn Burners, you started working up with there, where Aberdeen hasn't had something really like this either. And there's so many different corners to get at that. Was that conscious when you guys said this, or did you say we're going to start one area and try to expand, or was it, if we're going to do this, let's just throw it all out there and see how far we run?
I think, you know, I'm one of those guys that when you're with me long enough, people will say you're crazy. If we're going to do it, let's just do it. And if we would have picked 1 or 2 places, I mean, we always wanted to go to Rapid because there's a huge need out West River for this, and they've embraced it. Holy smokes! What we've been able to do out there in a small amount of time and the level of interest is just, it's mind-boggling. But then if you only pick a couple places, then you're still leaving a very large amount of kids out. We forget, I mean, Sioux Falls metro area is 250,000 people, which is huge, but there's 600,000 more people living out in the rest of the state. And so that need opportunity. So, you know, Nate Reedy at the Reedy Barn up there has the Barn Burner Basketball Academy, and they've done things up there and tried to get things going, and it was just it was a great fit. I've known Nate for a long time. I coached his son Gus on our national team the last couple of years, and he's a great guy. He's a super passionate basketball guy and loves the game and just wants to help, you know. And so it was an easy fit. So for us now, I mean, we got kids coming up there. You got kids coming from Mulbridge, from Ellendale, North Dakota, from you name it. It's just like what you have when you have over here for our teams out east, where you got, you know, a couple hours away people coming in. Now it's the same thing up there. We're out in Rapid, it's the same thing. You got kids come from Wyoming and from Hot Springs and from Belle Fourche and from all over out there. It's just cool because and Sunday's going to be, we haven't even talked about that going off kill, but Sunday's going to be awesome because we're going to have kids from our teams up north in Aberdeen, and we're going to have teams from out west in Rapid City, and we're going to have our teams from out here all in one place in Mitchell practicing together. It's exactly in 3 weeks what we envisioned it being in 3 years. And that's what's scary, is the fact that how scary, and it's awesome, how much just support, how much embracement we've gotten from people. It's been very, very humbling and very amazing from my standpoint, being somebody who's been entrenched in the basketball world in South Dakota for so long, to see so many people so thankful. And the amount of gratitude that's been shown, it's been overwhelming.
So we talked earlier about those 40, those girls don't have to worry about anything economically. You're talking about opportunities for kids. I've never seen you guys turn anybody away in the 4 years I've known you. You've never there's always been a way, but you are 3 weeks into it. It is, I don't want to say a huge financial burden. There has been some people that you have said have stepped up, but really it's the sponsorship now is kind of the next step for you guys. Why don't you talk about kind of the different levels? You and I have talked about the different levels. So there's 3 different levels on the sponsorship.
Yep.
Kind of talk about that, because at that top level, there's also an opportunity for some of those communities that we talk about that don't get an opportunity.
Yeah, so I mean, we really tried to find ways. I mean, obviously, there's a lot of people out there who want to help make a difference and maybe don't know quite how to do that. And we can't go out and allow kids to play for free without just putting money out of our own pockets all the time. And so we've got a lot of kids playing even on our teams over here in the East and up north and all that can't financially afford it. So we try to scholarship them and help them play without having to worry about writing a check. I don't want to turn anybody away from playing basketball because they can't afford it. Basketball and money should not, it's not meant to be that way. So so we've got 3 levels set up where individuals or corporations can come in and help sponsor, and when they sponsor they get different things for it. But our highest levels at that $5,000 or higher, and you get to that level, you also, part of that is you get to host a free camp in your community that we come in. Every kid we don't care if there's 200 kids there, it doesn't matter to us. But that camp is in your name. Everybody in your community that wants to come for free does. So you're sponsoring a camp on top of sponsoring college scholarships. I mean, we haven't even talked about that, but we're trying to, our goal is to give 8 to 10 college scholarships away per year for high school basketball players, boys and girls that are going on to post-secondary education. It doesn't have to be kids who are going to go play college basketball. Just that they've played the game and want to go get an education. I know how important an education is in today's world, and so anything we can help out. So those $5,000 and higher sponsors are sponsoring a college scholarship and a free camp to help kids. We have one at $2,500 that's also kind of doing the same thing. They get a college scholarship. They're sponsoring an athlete to play on a team, so they're helping paying the way for a kid to play. And then we do a ton of marketing for these teams or for these sponsors. Mm-hmm. So if you're a business, we develop a small little web commercial that we air on our social media outlets, which we already have. It's an overwhelming amount of numbers that we've already got people following our stuff. And so, there's a lot of people who donate and market their stuff in ways that are a lot less beneficial than helping kids. And then it's a great way for us to promote those businesses as well through our social media outlets and what we try to do for them as well.
That $5,000 in sponsorship, there's a tournament, a Sacred Hoops tournament that will be out in Rapid in July. Banners will be up, thank yous will be up for those too, for them to get an opportunity, out at the tournaments. And
we'll be hosting tournaments in the wintertime over here in the Sioux Falls area and in the Aberdeen area. So the tournament part will be expanding as well, and it's just another way to promote and to help our sponsors. But then once again, to be able to give kids opportunities to the game in different areas, and that's the big thing. The biggest thing that people, I think, when you look at what we're doing is there's a lot of people out there trying to do stuff with the game of basketball, but what we're trying to do is a whole nother level, and you start to peel back the layers of the onion, and you realize on the inside of it, it's so much bigger than that little orange ball. And at the end of the day, if we can help change someone's life and help make them better, or at the end of the day, just give them a chance to do something they never thought they'd be able to do, then it's been well worth our time and energy and everything that we put into what we're trying to do right now.
And to go back to a comment you made earlier, this program isn't about, you guys could go out when you and Jordan decided to do this. You could have went out and said, okay, let's have people just write us checks and we'll be fine with that. That's not the purpose of this. This is let's touch as many kids and as many communities in the state, but realistically there has to be financial feasibility to do that.
Well, we've always said this. If I was worried about money, it'd be a lot easier for me just to go back into school administration and go back and coach high school sports, because you got guaranteed income there. I'm just at a point in my life where over the last 4 to 6 years, where I've realized that everyone is given opportunities in their life to do things. Now, some people take advantage of it and some people don't. The opportunity, I think, that was given to me by the man upstairs was to go out and try to make a difference in people's lives. And if you don't take advantage of that, you have a small window of time in your life to do that. You've wasted the gift that somebody else has given you. And so for me, it was the time to do that. It was either time for me to quit talking about it and move on, or just to go do it. And I feel really good about it. I just, for me personally, it's a calling. It's something that the game of basketball has given me so much. It's changed my life. And if I can use that to help change somebody else's, whether it's one kid or one coach or one parent, or whether it's 100 or 1,000, then it's my way of paying back what's been given to me. And so the financial end of it, my wife would tell you something different. She'd probably sit there and say, I can't believe you're doing this. But it's important to me. It's really important to me, and at the end of the day, we can feel really good about it because I think we're doing the right thing.
So now as we get to that, the website is sacredhoopsbasketball.com. You can go on there. There's a homepage. Click through there. There is a sponsorship link on there. You can also contact, your email's there. You can contact you. You can also contact me. I can get you in contact with Sacred Hoops. Send a message to my Twitter or send a message to us here at Big Sioux Media, and we can get that to Coach Bertram. So let's go back to the first part, is to teach the game of basketball. As I did this in reverse order, I did this intentionally because to me, after the 4 years that we've talked, yeah, it's fun to coach the game and it's fun to be at the game, but it always seems to be, we talked, for those I didn't know, Coach Bertram donated some time here in Del Rapids to work with some boys to the Willie Mack tournament, and the first comment out of your mouth at the first practices is, I don't care if we win a game. I care what we get out of these practices and what we get out of as a team. So that's why we're talking basketball last year. We sat down and figured out 33 teams.
33 teams this summer.
This summer, and you're 3 weeks into it.
Yep.
You'll be traveling all over the Midwest, Minneapolis, Omaha, Kansas, Rapid City. Talk about what you want the kids to get out of the game, the actual part of the game.
I think, practice for me is where it's at. I mean, I even said when I was a high school coach, I hated the 20 games. I loved region championships. I loved state tournaments. Hated the regular season. I loved we call it like being in the lab. I loved being in the lab because that's where you really taught the game. And games to me are just like, they're tests. It's where you can find out whether or not what you're working on is working, what the kids know, and then you get back to work and practice. So we want kids to get a few things out of what we do. Number one, we want them to learn a different level of work ethic. That when you step on the floor as business, when you do something, you do it to the best of your ability, and you can't be afraid of messing up, making a mistake. Life is about that. If I come into my job and I'm constantly worrying about messing up or what I'm doing, you're not going to be your best. And part of that is just being very well prepared. And so practice is where you're prepared. So we want kids to understand the importance of the preparation part. Giving your best effort, being fully prepared, and understanding that if you do things right, that good things are going to happen for you. And so for me, practice is about taking this group of young people and setting a goal, setting an expectation, and then working every day, baby steps every day to eventually get to that. And it's hard sometimes in today's world especially, for parents to understand because they want that instant gratification. They want that instant change. When you don't realize that true change comes by a slow process, that ultimately your success is going to come at the end. You should be much better at the end than you were at the beginning. You're not going to be at your best halfway through. You better be at your best when it's important. And I say that about life too. I mean, we're going to screw up every day, but when my day comes to meet the Maker, I better be at I better have learned all my lessons. I better be at my best. You can't be at your best all the time. You'll learn from your mistakes and you learn to improve, and that's what practice is about. It's about understanding I'm gonna mess up. Let's learn from it. Let's not make that same mistake again. But if you're going to make mistakes, it better be because you're working your hind end off. You're going as hard as you can, and that mistake is made because I laid it all out there. But you can't live with making mistakes because you're going half speed, or you're tentative, or you're scared. And that goes for life. You can't live your life that way. You only get one chance at life. You only get one chance at playing high school sports. You got to lay it all out. Because if you don't, you're going to sit there 20 years from now, you're going to say, I regret it. I regret this, I regret that. And life with regrets is not a good life. And so, to me, that's the biggest thing that we can teach in practice is just telling kids, hard work equals great results. And I don't care what you're doing in life, that's true.
So not only will there be basketball teams that will get an opportunity to play, one of my favorite things, and I've heard the speech now for 3 years, and I'm sure I'll hear it again this year. My favorite part, and it shows really truly the passion for these kids to grow, is the speech that you always give the parents is, if you're going to miss something, miss the tournaments. Don't miss the practices. Yeah, the kids want to go and have fun and go to the hotel and play in tournaments, but they're not getting it's the practices. Don't miss the practices, miss the tournaments. So with that said, you're going out and I think what did we say last we talked, you had 60 some outreach camps already set up.
Yeah, we just added four more schools today. It's the largest amount of outreach camps that we've ever done, and we've done a lot of them, which is, once again, it's a whole nother area of just, it's so cool to be able to go into first of all, you got to thank the high school coaches, because I know as a former high school coach, you just don't want anybody to walk in your door and work with your kids. I mean, it's kind of a guarded society. So I have the utmost respect for all high school coaches, no matter what program they're in, what level they're in. But to see the number of high school coaches who have reached out and said, yes, come work with our kids, once again, it's that overwhelming thing. My June calendar right now, I don't have a day with less than 4 high school programs on it in a day. And that's every day. And so it's exciting for me. Once again, we were talking, sitting at the table the other day with some of our coaches, and it's scary because, boy, that's a lot of teaching. That's a lot of, and everything is, what I love about it most is, because I'm a longtime high school coach, is we don't go into a workout with the high school program. In that day, if you went to 4 workouts, you're going to see 4 completely different workouts, because we sit down and talk to the coaches. We ask them what their team's needs are. What do you want to see out of this? What are things that you're going to be working on next year offensively and defensively, so we can put in drills that directly correlate with that. We're not going to come in and just put them through some cookie cutter workout that anybody can get off the internet or whatever. That's not going to get a kid better. And more importantly, it's not getting them prepared for their high school program. I mean, my thing is, if I want to work with a kid, I want that kid to go back to his high school coach, and the high school coach say, that's going to help us. You're more fundamentally sound. You're a better player. I don't want a high school coach saying, half that stuff you just got done doing, I never want to see you do that in a game for me. That's not going to get you better. And so I say this all the time. I mean, I can go in any gym in South Dakota, and 90% of most high school kids that are going between the legs don't even know the proper footwork on how to go between the legs. So they're working on all these things, and they don't even have the proper footwork to do it. And so the more basic you can be, the better you can be at the basics, the better player you're going to be. That's just the way it is. I've seen a lot of kids who look really good in warm-ups that can't play very well in games. And that's a correlation to their fundamentals and what they know.
We've covered a lot tonight. I mean, we've been at this for about 40 minutes, and I could probably sit here and talk to you for about another hour and 40 minutes about it. I want to talk about, let's just talk about an overall general wrap-up for this, talk about the program and stuff like that. We've mentioned the website. You're on Twitter. You're on Facebook, so people can find them on Twitter at South Dakota Hoops 18, I believe, is the Twitter handle.
Twitter's at Sacred Hoops 18 is our Twitter handle, and then on Facebook it's just Sacred Hoops Basketball for Life is our Facebook page, and we try to put a ton of information out there. One thing we didn't talk about, and to kind of wrap it up with that, is we partnered with Rich Winter, who is a very well-renowned sports writer in our area, and he has this uncanny ability of wanting to feature athletes from all over and the special things they're doing. Like if you look at our Facebook page right now, you're going to see 3 really cool stories of some track athletes in Bison, a track athlete in Lower Brule, track athlete in Wall. So he does a really great job of that. And so we're going to feature athletes that people may not know about, or really cool stories that people may not know about. And obviously he's going to do a lot of stuff with our program and boosting that up as well. So it's just kind of an added feature to be able to get more knowledge about our athletes in South Dakota and some really cool things that are happening out there.
And we're going to partner up. We're going to work on a drill of the week to put onto the website. It's going to be something where coaches can go to, kids can go to, easy 1-person drills, couple 2-people drills. We're going to have that going for you. What do you want people to know about Sacred Hoops here as we wrap up tonight?
Just that, we're here to help. If you're a basketball player out in wherever, whether it's Sioux Falls or Rapid or Chamberlain or Winter or Cologne, if you want something, let us know. I mean, it doesn't have to be us going there. I'll send you any workout you want via email, or if you're a coach that wants a drill or wants whatever, I'll send it to you. We're just here to help make the game better. We're here to help young people. We're here to help our coaches. We're just here to help. And so you can't help somebody if they don't ask. So if you need something, let us know. We'll do our best to help in any way we can. And if we can't help you, we'll find somebody out there that can. That's the only reason why we're doing what we're doing.
I did put out earlier today on Twitter, if people had questions, I did get one message. I was supposed to ask you about the Bonham Andy's game in 2000, if you remembered that game.
I know probably who asked that question too. Yeah, I'm just going to say this for all those Bonham people out there. I coached a lot of games at Bonham, and every single one of them, I'm going to guarantee there was not a referee that didn't do a complete injustice to my team every single time. So that's all I'm going to say about that Andy's Bonham game. And I know exactly who asked that question.
I personally want to thank you for not only what you've done for the state, what you did for the community, you've done for Del Rapids, what you've done personally for my son, for me. Every time I talk to you, I get a little more passion. It gives me a little more drive. I'm happy to be part of Sacred Hoops, and I just want to thank you very much for everything that you have done for this state.
Yeah, I appreciate it. It's my pleasure, and I appreciate Big Sioux Media and the things they do to promote high school athletics and our high school athletes around this area. And the things you do with the games and all the different cool features you guys do, it enhances our kids' experiences. And like I said, kids only get one opportunity at this, and the more we can do to make that experience greater. So you guys are doing your part as well. So I really appreciate what Big Sioux Media does.
You are always welcome to come on the mic. You did it a couple times this past
fun.
year. It's fun to have you. You are always welcome. I'm sure Matt would agree that anytime that you want to come, we will take color analysis from you during a game.
Yeah, I appreciate that. I appreciate that very much.
We want to thank you for viewing tonight. Look for next month's Voices of Big Sioux Media. We want to thank Coach Allan Bertram of Sacred Hoops Basketball for joining us here on our first podcast. This podcast will be put onto our website, so in case you missed something tonight or you forgot about it, you can sit back and watch it again. For our tech director producer, Matt Larson, we want to thank Matt for taking care of all of that tonight, and we want to thank you for viewing here on Big Sioux Media. Good night.